Thanks for pointing that out, Dipanshu. No audio. But hey, what I was saying earlier is welcome to the Friday night party on my stream. And you know we are partying because I got my party glasses on, right? And yes, well, Friday nights are typically for party, but you don't get to do those partying now with the lockdown. So I thought, well, let's just have a coding party. So that's me with my party glasses. But the problem is, because I have a power glass, I can't see without these glasses. I can just like talk to you guys for a minute, have a monologue, but a bit more time, then my eyes are going to pain. I'm not Tom Cruise Oxygen Box. Welcome to the stream. Thanks, Dipanshu Jain, for everyone joining in today. Yes, I'm not Tom Cruise. Flattered though. But yes, I need to remove my glasses though, and get back to the most important ones. And let's just have the party glass like here. Why not? Or maybe we could do it like this. Hey, that fits really good. Like now I can see clearly and still look cool. But hey folks, welcome to the stream. My name is Karthik Raghupati, and gosh, what day is it today? It's 8th May 2020, AC, that is after coronavirus. And we've been doing some cool stuff on our stream. And starting with, we are building an Alexa game skill which tests your knowledge on movie dialogues, right? So that's what we have been building. Um, how have you folks been doing? Auction Box, Harsh, Dipanshu, how are you folks doing? How was your week? I hope it was good. I had a busy week as well, just doing a lot of work, and I had a couple of streams as well. So overall, good week. Yes, I hope you guys had a great week as well. So what are we going to do today? So let me just open up all the stuff that I'm going to need for our stream. And I want to check, can you guys hear my music? I just turned on the music. I just want to check if you can hear the music. Okay, sounds like you can hear it. I am streaming this from musicforprogramming.net. I usually like to listen to it on headphones, but sometimes it does get painful having this focus music. But musicforprogramming.net is where I get all of these tracks from. But yes, let's come back to the skill that we are building. And if you're new to the stream, hit the follow button and say hi in the chat. We are a good community, small community of people interested in Alexa skill building. Let's get started. So the last time we worked with the skill, let me just, I hope the volume is fine though, and my voice is audible in spite of the music. I hope that's audible. Anyways, so this is what we have done so far in our code, and oops, what did I do? I think we'll figure it out. Let's open up index.js. Alright, so the last time we had figured out how to get the onboarding for the user to be working out, right? So the onboarding was something that we figured out, right? Now there are a couple of things that we were trying to do. The very first thing is we were looking at kind of getting a player for you, an opponent for the player, for the user who is using the skill. So if you are finding an opponent for the user, we used to say something like, hey, I found this user from this place to compete with you, right? What I wanted to see is how do we build this, right? Because this would mean any player who plays, we ask them for their name, right? We ask them for their name. So I kind of feel that maybe we should kind of ask the user for their name. But I just feel like if you kind of take someone's name, ask for someone's name, what's going to happen is the happy path that we are working on, that is basically open the dialog quiz, hey, I'm going to teach you how to play this game, and then finally get them playing the game. That's going to be a bit of a problem, right? Because if I ask them for the name somewhere here, what's going to happen is it's just going to lengthen the user's intent. So the idea is that the user wants to get into the game as soon as possible, and we don't want to kind of bore them with the details. So there's something that's coming to my mind. How about once the user, so you say, okay, you are learning fast, now let's pitch your skills in the real world. Let me find an opponent for you, and then finally say something like, hey, I found this person from Seattle to compete with you. Here's your first audio clip. And then once they complete the entire round, we say that, hey, you beat the lead Lord of Sound at his own game. You scored 60 points from this entire game. Can you give me your name? Right? Something like this. Can you give me your name? And now that at that point the user can give their name. I don't want to ask the user for the name at the starting itself, because A, we have not yet established trust, and B, we want the user to get to the main core experience as soon as possible. We don't want to belabor the user in, hey, tell me your name, where are you from, and stuff like that. Let's get them directly in the game, tell them this is how the game works, they start playing the game, and then finally once they win the game or lose the game, we tell them that, hey, better luck next time, but can you help me with your points, right? So that's help me with your name. So I hope that that makes sense to you. I'm always open to suggestions, so feel free to drop your suggestions on how you think we can play this out. But yes, hey, welcome to the stream, Goal Zulu, and everyone streaming in today, Friday night here. No party, but I've got my party glasses on. But yes, I'd like to hear from you what you think of this idea that I'm trying to do and the VUI design. Always looking forward to inputs on that. So let's get started. That's the party glasses, Gold Zulu. Hey T. Benson, welcome to the stream. I'm following my own rules by using a Mac. Yes. To be honest, I kind of feel that if I'm doing programming on Mac, it's actually good. The only problem is that Mac is not really that great for a streaming machine, and I somehow am running this stream on it because I've got like a decent spec here. What's the specs for my I think it's a 16 GB device, 16 GB RAM. 16 GB RAM, so I think I'm somehow managing to stream. But yes, if I had the chance, I would kind of maybe get a Windows. I've been meaning to try that. It's just that I've got so many Apple devices. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I have around like 5 or 6 Apple devices, and that's how it goes, right? So it's difficult, but maybe I'll go to Windows at some point. Um, yeah, Oxygen Box. I like the idea as well. I like the idea of capturing the name after getting into the game. Um, what if you generate a name and give them an option to replace it with their own? This way, they will have a name. Uh, I I understand, and I've seen some skills do this. Right, what they've done is we open the game and then they say that, hey, I'm going to name you as Delicious Keyboard, right? Something like that. Those random name generators. Uh, I like the concept of it, but it just doesn't sound too personal to me. And I'm honestly okay if I don't get the user's name, right? Uh, I mean, I just need the user's name when they finish the entire work, the entire flow, and they come to the last answer. And maybe at this point, maybe I can ask them that, hey, do you want to give me your name? And then the user says yes or no. If they say no, I'll say, okay, maybe you know what, I'm going to call you with this random name that I generated for you, and that's it, right? Yeah, so maybe that's something that I can do here. Okay, so random name logic. Okay, now let's come back, and I've been giving a bit of a thought about how I want to kind of handle this entire logic here. I'm still not sure if all this logic is perfectly fine, but we'll figure it out as we go ahead. Right. Let me just pull my shades up, because oh wow, that's a totally different world when I pull my shades off. So here's my idea on how I want to kind of picture this entire skill, right? Let's say I have, say, 100 audio clips. 6 eyes, yes, Gold Zulu. I've got 6 eyes now. So coming back to our idea, so I think let's say we have around 100 audio clips, right? And the first user, and I'm talking from the architecture perspective, the first user comes to the skill and they are randomly asked 5 questions, right? And what's going to happen is, let's say this is the first user, there's no other user in the database at this point, this is the first user. So they come to the skill and they're randomly asked 5 questions, and this is going to be me, right? I'm going to program this, okay? So let's say they get asked question number 1, 3, 45, 80, 43 and 93, okay, something like that. Now what I'll do here is kind of say that, hey, if for the first question, so this was the first question, for the first question they got 5 points. For the third question they got 10 points, which means they got the actor as well as the movie correct. For 45 they got, like, say, just 1. For 43 they got 10. Oops. For 93 they got 5. So I'm kind of picturing a JSON like this, which kind of stores the question that they played in a certain game, right? So 1, 3, 45, 43, 93. Now when the second user comes to the skill, right? So let's assume for a minutes that this experience is never going to happen on the skill, because this first user is going to be me. I'm going to feed this into the database by default. Now, when the second user comes in, what we are going to do here is say something like, hey, you are paired with first user, right? And here's the first question. Now, because the first user answered these questions 1, 3, 45, 43, 93, I'm going to get those values and save it in the session. And then once I save it in the session, what I'm going to do is here's the first question, and when the second user comes in, they are going to get questions from this array, right? So that's something I want to kind of build. I hope that makes sense. What I'm rambling here, I hope that makes sense to you. Basically, every time a user comes in, we kind of create a game, and a game is basically an object of questions they were served during that game and how many points they scored during that game, right? And now when the second user comes in, we are going to take that one game and they are going to pair, right? So now what's going to happen is this second user, they are going to say get, maybe let's say for the sake of simplicity, they get 310, 45, 10, 43, 10, 93, 10. So they just get all the answers perfectly correct. So that means because this user got how much, 20, 30, 35, whereas this person got 50, at the end in the readme.md, like we said, we say, hey, oh cool, you beat the Lord of Sound at its own game, you scored 60 points on this entire game, can you give me a name? So that is pretty much the logic I'm trying to attempt. Oh wow, I think well, you know what, this is the kind of issue that you kind of face when you kind of shave your hair. It just doesn't fit in place right there. It's kind of keeping on coming up and down. I thought it would kind of like, just fit in there, but yeah. Anyways, coming back to this, so that's my idea. Do you folks think that's a good architecture decision, or do you think of how I could maybe change this architecture? I know this is a bit complex, but yeah, what do you folks think of this? Right, so that's and now let's say, for example, the first user comes back, right? And they start a new game. So if they start a new game, what I'm going to do is randomly, so yeah, if they start a new game, that's a good question. Like, that's just popping into my mind. What happens if the first user comes back and they say that, hey, start a new game? Because then what's going to happen is they are going to be paired against the second user. So I think that is a logic that we also need to kind of make. Right. I just hope the idea that I'm rambling here makes sense to you folks, and I'm not confusing you with my ideas. Are you doing a new game a day or a new game per visit? I want to do a new game per visit Oxygen box. And the reason being, let's say I even managed to get 100 audio clips, right? And let's say I managed to get 50 users. The possibilities that I can kind of intertwine, where I'm matching a player with another player on totally 100 different questions, that's going to just generate a lot of games for me. A lot of games, right? So that's something I have in mind. So yes, that's a new game a day. Sorry, a new game per visit, or basically new game no matter how many times you want to do. Right? But I kind of want to make sure that one rule that I have here is no two users will get matched more than once on the same set, right? So the rule is that no two users will get matched more than once on the same set. So that means if the first users and second user work on this question set once, the next time they are not going to come and play this again, right? Maybe this is something that they that can happen with another user, but not with the same user, just once, right? So this is one rule that I strictly want to follow. Well, what's the second? I kind of want to think that maybe I don't think this is more of a rule, but something that we can explore. Explore is, rather than having just one bot player, having just one bot player can look at multiple bots, right? So how about I introduce, say for example, 30 to 40 bots with certain question sets and yeah, just certain question sets. So right, so what would happen is, let's say I have 30 users. So if the second user comes in, they have 30 different games to play along with, right? They have 30 different games to play along with. So I think that's one thing that we can look at. But yeah, I think I want to go with this assumption that no two users will get matched more than once on the same set. Now let's open up our Dynamo DB database, because I want to get started with getting those questions as well. I want to get started with getting those questions, and also see how I'm going to save it in the database, right? I want to see how I can save it to the database. Right, so let's go into Dynamo DB. So this is going to be my dummy user. Let's create a dummy user. So I already have a dummy user. I already have an original user. I want to create another dummy user. Okay, so for example, some random value. Okay, so this is going to be some random value. I'll figure about getting the right value later on. String access time, right? Access time. I don't want to have append number access time and something like that. Okay, so let's save this. So yeah, this is my random user, right? This is my different user. How do I edit it? Yeah, let's just put in some access value here. And now, last but not the least, I want to create a map Do I need to create a map? Is map what I want? Let's see how a Dynamo DB map works. Map examples. Yeah, I think a map would be the right, similar to a JSON object. So I kind of want a JSON object. So I think I'm going to go with a map here. So the map is something that we'll call it as games. Let's call it games, right? And inside games, what we are going to do here is append a list, right? And list will be users played. Not really. So this is how the JSON should look like. Okay, let's actually JSON formatter. Drop a file or load. That's not what I'm looking for. So the JSON, here's what I'm kind of thinking our JSON should look like. It should look like this. Okay, it should look like what is it going to cover? It's going to cover, first of all, it's going to cover something called as games, right? And out here I'm going to create an object which says I'm just thinking it out loud here, folks. If you have any suggestions on how we should restructure this JSON, let me know. But what I'm practically trying to do here is capture this data, right? Capture this data. So let's say I played a game. So how should it be captured? So I think we should call it as game 1, let's say, for that matter, and then say something like player, and this would be the player ID. So this would indicate which player we played it against, which player played against, right? Then I think I'll need questions, and the questions array is going to be like the questions array will look like something like this, right? It will look like 1, 5, and basically something like this: 1, 5, 3, 10. 3 is 10, 45 is 5, 43 is 6, 5, and 93 is 10. Okay, something like this. Do you think there's a better way to do this? If yes, let me know. But I think this is the kind of schema that I want to play against, right? So I'll create a games array, games object. I'll have game 1 and I'll have multiple games, right? I'll have something like game 2, game 3. So every game that I play, it's going to be like this, right? Game 2, game 3, game 4. Okay, and yeah, so that's something that I want to do. And yeah, kind of think there should be a better way to do this. Again, I'm not too focused on getting it right on the first go itself. I'm pretty much new to something very advanced on DynamoDB, but I think we can figure that out on the go as it is. Do you see any overarching problem with this? Right, so these are all going to be different players. Is there any other data that we should be capturing? Winner, something like, so if I played a game, which player did I play against, and who was the winner? Was it self or was it competitor? And this is kind of something that I could um, handle it, right? So this is my idea of how I want to structure this. Let's see how we can go ahead and do this. Okay, maybe I'll just help to just have this in the readme.md. Right, so now let's do one thing. Let's figure out how to put this in here. So games, it's not going to be, this is not going to be a list again. Let's remove it. It's going to be a JSON object again. So append another map. Is that the right way to do it? Let's go down here. This is going to be game 1, right? And in game 1, what we are going to do here is append a string first of all, right? So I'm going to call it as, oh no, I think I'll need it here. Okay, how do I do it here? String, nope, that's not what I want. How do I add it inside the game? Yeah, there we go. So this would be something like player ID, right? Append string player ID. What else were we capturing? Questions, right? Now this questions, this should be remove. We should call this as a list, or do we need another JSON object here? So see you in a bit, Gold Zulu. Thanks for joining the stream. Append. I'm kind of lost between if I should go between a map, which is another JSON object, or whether I should just create an array. But create a map in Dynamo DB. I kind of feel that, yeah. So I want to create a new map. Okay. No, I don't think this is what I want. Let's actually create it to see how it would look like. I'm going to call it a questions array, and inside the map append string, not a string. Remove this, remove this. So game 1, there's a player, there's a questions, and this questions has a map. I don't think an array would suit here, because an array would mean that the index would always be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? The array would mean it would be number, and that's why I'm kind of defaulting to have an object, because in object I can modify the keys, right? So I kind of feel that I have to go back to creating. I'm just not sure about this one though. Let's go with this. insert string, remove this, insert some strings. That's weird. Why am I not able to add it here? Do I need to add it here? Yeah, I need to click on the button below it. So the question would be 1 and the value would be 5, right? And question would be 3, the value would be 10, right? Well, let's just put in some random values. 45, 5, 43, 10, insert 93, 94, doesn't matter, 10. Okay, so this is the game 1 inside the game's map array, and I think this should work. But yeah, is this the right way to go about it though? We'll figure it out. There's no hard and fast rule as to how we want to kind of do this, but so I think it's perfectly fine, right? But the good thing about this is we now have what do we have now? We now have a games array, a games field, and that games field has the number of games that the user has played. Now I think what we need to do here is, when we kind of run into this function here, remember we had this one function where we are saying basically that, hey, let's find a player for you, right? At this point we are saying fetch an opponent for you, and when we fetch an opponent, we want to kind of find a user who has played a game and get that value. So let's try and do that. Okay, so I'm going to do something like, folks, on the other hand, on another note, just let me know if this is getting too complex. I'm not seeing much chatter on the chat box today, so I'm not sure if you are kind of feeling that this is getting too complex, and if any of these things that I'm doing is not making much sense to you. And we can always go through that in more detail. But yes, this was the method that we had where we were passing, fetch opponent. So what we'll do here is, remember we had the database.js. What we are going to do here is, we had a get user method where we would send the user, we had a get user method. Yes, we'll create a new method. We will call that as dbhelper.prototype.getOpponent. Get opponent and game is equal to user, and yeah, return new promise. So let me just define what I'm trying to do here. What I'm going to do here is, I'm going to say, what do I say here? Hey, get the users, get the opponent for the user, and the game as well, right? So what this query is going to do now is, if this user is using the skill, it's going to return this user. Okay, glad to hear that, Oxygen Box. I just sometimes, I'm not sure if people are watching that, and I sometimes feel that I kind of go very deep into some technical stuff, and just don't want to confuse people about what we are doing here. So good to know that you're around and just hanging around. There's no pressure to talk at all, but yes, anytime you have any issues, just let me know. So resolve reject Okay, that's what we are going to do. And now what we are going to do here is table name should be table name. Now check this out. Okay, I think I missed it up here, where parents is equal to, get this in here, excuse me folks. So this is a table name, and how do now comes a very interesting thing that I've always thought about. Now what I need to do is, for this function to work, it should get me all the users, but apart from all those users, it should it should get me all the users except this one user that I'm going to be working with, right? So that is the current user. So this query should not return the same user, but it should return every other user apart from that user, right? So now that means, how do we kind of run that query on Dynamo DB? And the answer is, I don't know, and let's figure it out. Okay, so let's see how to run queries in Dynamo DB. Okay, so there is a filter expression. To specify the search criteria, you use a key condition expression, a string that determines the items to be read from the table or index. You must specify the partition key name and value as an equality condition. Okay. Right. I'm sorry. So it looks like the key condition expression is good when you have equality. Like, you want to say, hey, return me the forum name. But can I do a not equal to? So like, for example, I want to get all the users who are not this user. How do I get that? Does Dynamo need an array of all your available players? Then you can remove the one you play to avoid playing that player again. I'm just thinking what you mean by that, option box. Need an array of all your available players. Then you can remove the one you play to avoid playing that player again. Yeah, that's one way to look at it. And you know what? That actually gave me a good thought. Oxygen box is, I kind of want to build this in such a way that I wanted to learn how to write a query here which would return me all the users except that certain user, but I'm okay if I get all the users and then I do the processing on the code level, like on my level, where I just say that, hey, except this user, filter the other users. But that's just extra code, so that's why I'm seeing if this is solved via query. So we can try. I don't think that should hurt. Not queries in Dynamo DB. Doesn't look like Dynamo DB allows you to do that. How do I get an item? Not query Dynamo DB. This should be fun to see. Fun to fix out. Okay, any ideas on how to pick an item or record randomly from a Dynamo DB table? I don't believe there are any provisions for this in the API. I thought about maintaining a table of numeric ID, my other key, and then generating a random number. This looks pretty confusing. Yeah. This is an interesting problem to solve, and I've never done this with DynamoDB before. How to create and query a new SQL table. Create a table. Sounds good. Add data. The drop down list in the dark gray banners on actions. Where did that go? Let's see how I would do this. In the drop down list on the change the scan to query. Okay, scan to query. Interesting. And then I think I say ID string. Okay. Why is this not string? You see there is a not equal to, right? So yeah, so ID is not equal to let's say this, right? So ID is not equal to start search. I need to do this. Do I need to put in there? Sorry folks, this is interesting. So because I have the partition key as ID, it looks like I need to give this, right? Otherwise I don't think this is going to work. I somehow feel that there's something about DynamoDB that I don't know. And I'm pretty sure that's the reason. And I've already set the primary partition key as ID, so I'm just not sure if that's what's causing this. run a query in Dynamo DB without primary partition key. Let's see what we get out of that. Querying DB without. It looks like they are saying, so I tried to create a global secondary index for it. However, I get this query error, query key condition not supported by DynamoDB. By seeing some examples, it looks like I can't query by a secondary index unless I also include the interesting table info. ID is the primary partition key, primary sort key is name. When I query from node, I sent as parameter the city and the index name, and difficult to simulate and identify the issue. This is interesting. So it looks like I need to do something with the query, and there is something to do with the primary ID as well. But how do I query a Dynamo DB for a specific field? Hey Rajat, welcome to the stream. Yes, no, you're not the only one hearing the music. I'm just playing some music from music for programming.net. Just let me know if it's too irritating. I think I kind of want to try this. Let's see if we can get this working. So params is equal to table name is something that we got correct. Let's do this. Let's try expression attributes value. Okay, and in here let's do an ID, and the value is going to be the user ID, right? Or in fact, for the test purposes, glad to know you like the music, Rajat. How's your week coming along? So I'll just put in this, and then finally, so this is where did we see this? So for folks who are wondering what I'm doing right now, I'm kind of trying to do a DynamoDB query where I'm trying to get all the other users except the current user. So this is the expression attributes value. ID is this Amazon1.ask account. So I want all the users except this user. So I'm going to say ID not equal to, and I'm just going to see if that works, right? And it looks like I need to call the scan function, but does the doc client? Oh, you know what? Now that I didn't we see here the scan function? Oh, you know what? Oh yes, the scan function might help us. There we go. So the scan function did help. So I think I kind of feel that I need to do a doc client dot scan. There we go. So the doc client dot scan params dot err data, right? If err return reject err else console.log return the data, right? Just say that, hey, console.log, here's the data. Okay, we are not resolving at this point. Let's just keep it easy at this point. Okay, so there we go. So I hope everyone has understood what we have done here. We just want to see what is it that we are going to get here. And let me just do a json.stringify data. Okay, and because I don't want to simulate the entire skill experience end to end, what I'm going to do here is kind of have this method called in the launch request itself. I'm not worried about if the skill works now or not. I just want to kind of call that right now. So let's just comment out all of these things and just say fetch opponent function and pass in the user ID, right? Go to fetch opponent, pass in the user ID here, and here what we do is basically call the database function. And how do we call it? We call it like this. Rajat says, hey Frico, welcome to the stream. Haven't seen you around here for a while, so not sure if you're following us, so do hit the follow button. Rajat just finished Node.js, as some syntax confuses me. Also, I don't have background in coding. And I think that's perfectly fine, Rajat. I don't think you need a background in coding to start coding. If you like what you're doing and you're not frustrated by it, I mean, you will be frustrated on some days, but if you don't give up and you like what you're doing, I think it's perfectly fine to just enjoy the process. And well, you always have this stream. I'm on Twitter. You can always ping me and ask for any inputs. I'd love to see what you're building on Node.js. So now, so I'm going to call the get opponent and the game method. And let's do this. So I'm going to pass the user ID and then data. Not even going to worry about this console.log. Console.log data. Right, so this is something, and let's deploy it to the Lambda function. And folks, I'm just going to take a couple of minutes of break here. Something's come up, so just give me a couple of minutes break. I'm just going to be on mute here, but I'll be back right now. Okay, folks, so I'm back. Hope you can hear me. All right. I still didn't hear from you, Rajat. What are you trying to build in Node.js? Are you trying to build a skill? Let's try open the dialog quiz, and we are going to fail here for sure. Um, we're going
There is
to.
a problem with the requested skills response.
So that was expected, nothing out of the blue, because we've just commented out all the code. Let's go inside here. Let's go inside the monitoring part with the logs in CloudWatch, and let's see what the logs have returned. Oh wow. I don't This is a mistake that I do all the time. Async function, and is that what we're missing? 98, line number 98. Nope. I don't think that should be an issue. Async fetch opponent. Yeah, that should be fine. Let's deploy it again. Okay, now that we've deployed it, let's go back to the skill. Interesting. What game are you trying to make, Rajat? Let's just exit this. Open the dialog quiz again. Let's see what error we are going to.
There is a problem with the requested skills response.
Let's see if the async await issue is solved right now. But I'd like to hear more about the game that you're trying to build. The game that you're trying to build, Rajat. So anyways, let's look at the code. Did we reach? Here's the data part. It doesn't look like this is after the response. It doesn't look like it's reaching that part, or is it? Get opponent and game. Is that the method that we are calling? Get opponent and game? Yes, we are calling that. Console.log inside the launch request handler. Okay, let's deploy this. And let's try this again. Open the dialog quiz. Let's go back out here.
There is a problem with the requested skills response.
Right. So we expected this to happen. So we are going inside the launch request handler for sure. So we reach inside. Should we do an await here? Go inside fetch. Or you know what? For the time being, let's not go into the JavaScript part of this. Let's just try and call this function right here itself. Okay, I'm just going to remove this and let's see if we are kind of uh, getting this to work now. That's a cool thing, Rajat. It's a choice-based game where player can choose an option and the following gameplay is dependent on it. I've got a tool for you. If you sometimes feel that Node.js is getting too, I don't know, I mean, too overwhelming to work with, we have this product called as Skill Flow Builder, right? And what Skill Flow Builder does is you can create story-based game skills faster with Skill Flow Builder. I'm just going to copy this and put this in the link, so maybe you can just check that out. But it's like a drag and drop kind of thing that you can kind of create an experience, and you don't need to have be a developer to do this. So I think this is something that you can definitely try out, and just let me know how that comes along. Okay, did we deploy? I'm not sure. Let's see. Let's try this out. Let's open the dialog quiz again.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
And we are going to get that for a while. I'm not too worried about that. There we go. So I think we are going inside the error. So what's happening here is get opponent in game. What's the error? The error is syntax error, token not equal to. Oh, so I don't think I can put in not equal to, and I think I need to change this as well. It should not be cat file, it should be ID. Yes, that's right. It looks like there's a syntax. So filter expression not equal to in Dynamo DB. Oh, so it looks like I need to use this. Okay, let's try that. Did we capture it correctly? Yeah, looks like that. Let me just open up Twitch for a minute. I just want to see who all are streaming. It looks like Alexa is streaming. What's happening on Alexa? Oh, hey, Jeff Nunn is streaming. Folks, why don't we try doing a raid? And all we need to do here is let's just raid for like a couple of minutes or so so that we can raid the channel. Let's try raiding. Yeah, raid Amazon Alexa. And what you need to do is just type /raid Amazon Alexa. Let's see if we can raid. Okay, this channel has follower or subscribe only chat. Oh, Eric Fazil is in here, but I'm not sure how we can raid. Did we raid properly? Raid Amazon Alexa, and I think folks, can you try it as well? Raid Amazon Alexa. It says the channel has follower or subscriber only chat. I'm not sure how to do that though. Does anyone know here how to raid a channel? Okay, raid -Amazon Alexa. I doubt that. Raid Amazon Alexa. Doesn't look like that. It looks like Yeah, it doesn't. Oh, it did say that. Uh, See if you can, if you guys can do this. Uh, See if you can do raid Amazon Alexa. It still looks like I'm streaming, but can you folks do this slash raid Amazon Alexa? Just try that. Oxygen box and Rajat, can you folks do this? I just want to try that. Uh, Can't hear them for sure. It's what's up with that? Yeah, I think I'm mute.
Can be used on an ABS device. Obviously, there's some differences. You know, if you have a device with screen, then you would need an ABS device with screen too. But yeah,
And you can also access Microsoft's development through different pipelines just prior to you in development being able to access things. I can see wheels turning in some of these questions. I can see there's going to be some new projects come from these the GitHub relationship.
yeah.
Yeah.
What else do you have? Or do you have that?
Doesn't look like that's how raids work.
We'll do this as a filtering part.
But hey,
More questions, or if you got more content, we're happy to hear that too.
I can talk about.
oh,
ABS
there we go.
experience.
We are raiding now.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So we also have a variant. So I've been mostly talking about device control, and then what we call headless experiences. So voice only responses. But like if you have a, let's see this. Oh no, my power was not long enough. But I have an Echo Show 5 here on my screen. That's my backup device in case my computer goes on the rip.
Okay, so I'm not sure how this stuff works though. Uh,
So I'm not sure how this stuff works though.
but are you folks back here, Rajat and Oxygen Box? But that was a cool thing to try that out. Just try and raid.
But that was a cool thing to try that out.
But did you guys? What happened? I don't know what happens with this stuff. But I hope you folks are back here. Right. Let's go ahead and just finish up what we are trying to do here. Let me just deploy. I just hope you folks are able to see me. I'm not sure how this is supposed to work. I'm not sure if you folks can hear me all right, if you can see me. Just let me know if you guys are able to see me.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
And one thing to keep in mind is maybe you might be chatting in a different window. Just make sure that you're chatting in my stream window. 2216, that looks like it. Hey, there we go. That worked, folks. That worked. That's pretty cool. So we got a user who is not the current user, right? And yeah, we got them and we got their entire games. So this looks pretty neat, right? And I think then what we do here is sorry. What we are going to do here is kind of get all of these values in here, and then kind of run the question. So yeah, so that is something that we learned today. So here's what we learned today. We learned how to run this expression attributes values and filter expression. So filter expression is where we kind of do an ID is not equal to, and we kind of got all the users who are not the current user who is logged into the skill. Now this is going to be beneficial because if we have like 50 users, we are going to say, hey, get me all the users except this user, and then from those users we are going to pick a game and we are going to kind of get their values working, right? So that's something that we are going to be doing. But hey folks, that's pretty much it for today. But thanks for joining in. And yep, what we'll do here today is wrap up for today and continue this the next week. And maybe I'll start experimenting a bit with the idea that I talked about, where we deep dive into something and figure out something working. Uh, this is me, Karthik Raghupati, and I hope all of you have a great Friday morning, evening, and a great weekend forward. Take some rest, relax, and come back refreshed for the next week. Until then, that's all from me. Thanks for joining in, folks, and stay safe and stay healthy. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.